Mr. Mayor, Chancellor, students, assembly members, senator, and members of the press, thank you for all being here today. My name is Yael Leopold, and I am the proud principal here at PS 125, the Ralph Bunche School. Today is a historic day in District 5, Harlem. We have the leaders of our city coming together to say with one voice that literacy matters. Not only are we saying that literacy matters, but we are doing the work and setting the foundation to ensure that all of our children will have the supports and resources needed to become successful readers and writers. We are creating opportunities for our children to fall in love with reading and all of the possibilities that come with that, while beginning to eliminate the barriers that prevent children from receiving the support and services they deserve. This is only possible because of collaboration and community, two of our core tenets at our school. We believe in nurturing the whole child, a progressive social justice education model, and knowing well and meeting the needs of all of our students and their families. This initiative will make its way across the district and city so that one day all children with reading challenges and dyslexia will receive the resources they so greatly deserve. This is why I'm so very proud to stand here with all of you on this milestone occasion and introduce someone who needs no introduction, Mayor Eric Adams.
Thank you. Such a powerful moment for us, and you're right, this historical moment of what we are going to accomplish in education for our children, and how we are really accomplishing an important initiative really for our city, if not for our country. And you heard me often on the campaign trail talk about my struggles with reading comprehension and learning, and did not know, my mother didn't know how to go about getting the proper screening. And just walking into the classroom like these babies and, seeing that sign on the back of the chair of, the dumb student, and really not wanting to come into school every day because I just couldn't keep up, didn't know what was stopping me from comprehending and learning the information that was in front of me. And so to come here and see these students and say that we're going to give them their full potential, because teaching is a calling, and I'm sure Principal Leopold and the other educators that are here on the stage, they pour so much into our students and really shape them into the leaders of tomorrow, if not the leaders of today. I still remember my third grade teacher, Ms. Pasternak. She calls me all the time, send me little tips on, how to stand. Ms. Pasternak, I hope you're watching me. Am I standing right? Because once a teacher is always a teacher.
That's right. That's right.
It is so significant to them, and so I'm excited about today. And I want to thank everyone who is part of this important initiative. Dyslexia holds back too many of our children in school, but most importantly, in life. In life. We think that it is just that they get challenges in the school system, but no, it goes through life, and it haunts you forever until you can get the proper treatment that you deserve. And every public school student deserves to have the ability to read at a high level. And two of my partners in government that's here now, Assemblyman Peter Carroll and Assemblywoman Joanne Simon, they have been talking about this for a long time. The first day I met Joanne, she was just talking about we have to get into learning loss, and we must look at these issues around children that are dealing and struggling with reading comprehension, and I really want to thank them for what they have done. And dyslexia is not a disadvantage. It's just a different way of learning. And all the children need, they need the tools to know how to understand how they comprehend information, and that is what we're giving them in this initiative. And we're proud today, and we hear this often, you know, someone needs to be keeping a score on this, but we are going to have the largest, most comprehensive approach to supporting students with dyslexia in the country. In the country. You know, if you would just get $1 every time we say we're going to have the most largest and the first time, we just continue to put these points on the board. Chancellor Banks and his team, they just clearly understand that you can't continue to do the things that we have done and get the same results. We are going to do things differently, and so for the first time, we're going to screen all New York City school students for dyslexia and give them the support they need to succeed. All students will be screened for dyslexia. We're going to do this in a multi-pronged way. First, students will continue to be screened for literacy. Those who repeatedly struggle will be offered a specific screening for dyslexia. We're going to identify it early, give them the support early, and ensure that they can have the right support as they move throughout their education. This is an equity issue. Screenings are expensive. They cost hundreds of dollars. Many families can't afford it, particularly in Black and brown multi-language communities, those communities that are struggling economically. This is going to remove that barrier, ensure that every child in every zip code will receive the screen, and with it, the help they need, the support for the family and children. Second, our teachers, who are our most valued planters of the seeds in our children of education, we're going to ensure that the teachers will be trained to identify students with dyslexia and will have plans in place specifically to support those learners, giving our teachers what they need in the classroom. Third, we're going to pilot programs in our schools, especially geared towards dyslexic students. Starting in fall 2022, there's going to be one at PS 161 in the Bronx, but another is going to be right here in PS 125 to give them the support they deserve. And by September 23, we will have one program in each borough tailored for dyslexic students. One of the reasons I know that we must do this, this is not an option, is because of those personal struggles. And the number of my friends in school who dropped out of school, left school early, never to return, merely because they were dealing with reading issues. We want to empower dyslexic students and help them reach their highest potential. These children are the thinkers of not only the future, but the thinkers of today. But we know, and I said this over and over on the campaign trail, and I will continue to say, if you don't educate, you will incarcerate. We are feeding the incarceration of our nation and city because of our failure to educate. A 2014 study conducted by the Department of Education found out that about a third of the people incarcerated in the country had difficulty reading simple text. About a third. Think about that for a moment. What if we just would have screened them for dyslexia? Imagine what a different pathway they would have been on. The steps we're taking today are part of our long-term commitment to literacy for all New York City public schools. Chancellor Banks talks about literacy and how we need to get it right in a real way, and I'm just really proud of that. And we're going to start using a proven phonics-based literacy curriculum that's proven to help children read. And we have caught the attention from my campaign and open discussion on dyslexia. We have caught the attention of the globe. We are proud to be hosting the World Dyslexia Assembly next year. All over the globe, people are coming here to see what the dyslexic mayor is doing to prevent dyslexia and bring the knowledge and information to New York City. All of our children deserve the best education we have to offer. And together, teachers, parents, students, the city, we're going to get it done for them. I'm really proud of this moment, a promise made, a promise kept. This is our opportunity to really move the needle on something that has been impactful for our children for a long time. And so my colleagues, Senator Hoylman, Assembly Member Carroll, Assembly Member Joanne Simon, Council Member Stevens, Council Member Abreu, and the principals and teachers here, just really thank you. Sitting inside your classroom is a young man that may have dummy and dumb student on the back of his chair. Today, we're going to rip that sign off and tell him not only is he a learner, but he has the potential one day to be the mayor because of our actions today.
Yes.
I'm proud of this moment. Thank you.
Yes.
I want to bring on my great school chancellor, a real visionary for educating our children, Chancellor David Banks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to the principal of this school, Leopold, for your leadership. This auditorium reminds me of PS 161, where I graduated in Brooklyn. It's an old auditorium, but it has a lot of character, doesn't it? And it feels good to be here with all of you this morning. We have made, together with the mayor, a number of announcements since the beginning of the school year. There is no announcement that has excited me as much as what we are here to do today and to announce today. Really. The mayor, years before he became the mayor, was talking about this issue. And I have to be really frank, I didn't know a lot about dyslexia. And I learned more when I met Debbie Meyer, who's here today. And Debbie said to me, this is a really important issue. There are a lot more kids that are suffering from this than you even realize. And we know that the mayor believes in it. We want to really elevate this issue. And I introduced her to the mayor, and things just continued to move on. And since that time, you know, Assemblyman Bobby Carroll, who is a real expert in this area, I've learned so much from him about the issue as well. And when the mayor talks about 65% of black and brown children who never achieve proficiency, it's in reading. It's not because our teachers don't care. Our approach has been a flawed approach. And there's so many of our students who have not gotten the supports that they need. And that changes today. And that's why I'm so deeply excited, because we have a chance to really impact the lives of so many of our young people. And it's because of all of you and all of us coming together for real change. And so today, as some of you may know, is Dyslexia Awareness Day. And we're committing to the very basic and fundamental goal of teaching all of our kids to read by announcing this first of its kind, comprehensive approach to supporting students with dyslexia. For the first time, we're going to identify students in our schools who are at risk. And starting this September, All of our students will take part in short, proven literacy screenings 3 times a year. Students who repeatedly score well below their peers will be selected to participate in pilot programs for specific screening for risk of dyslexia. It is not enough to simply identify the students who are at risk. We must be able to fully support the students in their schools. Beginning this fall, we're piloting, as the mayor already pointed out, these 2 programs. Together, the Literacy Academy Collective at PS 161. And they are here today. Come on, we should hear this group here. They have been on the front line on this issue as well for a long time. And I know it has to feel good to be at this moment, doesn't it?
All right.
And also here with the Family Literacy and PS 125 will both serve as specialized programs offering direct instruction. These 2 programs will provide deep, and this is what's really important, it's not just the screening, will provide deep professional development and comprehensive learning interventions for the students with dyslexia. Most importantly, they will provide all of our students with important lessons on how to improve literacy instruction in all of our schools. They will be labs of innovation for us. We're going to immediately work to build out additional programs with the goal of having 1 school offering specialized instruction in each district by the fall of 2023. Furthermore, 80 elementary schools and 80 middle schools will receive targeted support and training, developing school-based teams to coordinate literacy support for small group interventions 4 days a week. Teachers at every school will also be trained to address the needs of students who may not need deeper interventions so that they too can achieve success. Literacy cannot be a skill that is relegated to a single class, and we must support educators in every subject area to become allies in the work of making sure that every child can read. And finally, this is a long-term commitment. Over the next year, all schools will be asked to switch, as the mayor already pointed out, to a phonics-based literacy curriculum. With planned professional development for all of our educators. Additionally, we are establishing a dyslexia task force alongside our Literacy Advisory Council, made up of members of our communities, experts in literacy, and public school staff, students, and parents. They will help develop our long-term vision and approach for supporting students at risk or who live with dyslexia, inclusive of our multilingual students. This investment is the first time New York City Public Schools is comprehensively addressing the needs of this student population, and with the implementation of our pilot programs and academies and teacher trainings, for the first time, New York City Public School students will be able to receive specialized instruction without leaving their neighborhood. This is just the beginning. We are committed to supporting all of our students. And I just want to make sure that you know that we're getting back to the basics to ensure that every single child can read. Marsha Kramer, we talked about this early on when the mayor made me chancellor, and you told me how important this issue really was. And I just want you to know, because of this mayor and because of all the people that are on this stage, we are going to make a huge difference in the lives of thousands of students, and I could not be happier. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Banks. And now I'm going to introduce proudly our amazing parent advocates. Come on up.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Naomi Pena, and I'm a proud mother of 4 dyslexic children. Sorry, this is like such an emotional day for me. Who've attended New York City public school system. For the past 16 years, I know all too well the pain of trying to advocate to support my children to read. Because our schools do not use structured literacy to teach children to read, I was desperate to find support. My only option was costly tutoring programs, all because my children's learning styles could not be met in the classroom. Because of my personal experience in advocating for my children, helping other families, and knowing many more adults who cannot read, I came together with a group of 6 moms from diverse personal and professional backgrounds to launch Literacy Academy Collective. Together, we have 10 dyslexic children, and we have all experienced firsthand the deep pain of watching our children suffer. We know how difficult it is to get desperately needed services for our children, and we understand the barriers that prevent so many families from getting the support and the instruction they need so their children can learn to read. Through LAC, we will launch a lighthouse school to finally support children with dyslexia and language-based learning disabilities so they can learn how to read in the approach they need. We will also facilitate the training of teachers in the process so they can have a deeper understanding of structured literacy and help their students to read. We are partnering with DOE and the Windward Institute, a leading expert in evidence-based literacy instruction, to bring teachers, training, and school systems to open the first standalone DOE public school for students with language-based learning disabilities. I'm excited to say that after almost 3 years, we are finally starting today to remove the barriers that so many children need to read. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Sanaya Beckles-Canton. I am a proud Harlemite and parent. Here. First, I would like to thank my PS 125 school community, teachers, administrators, staff, students, and families for always making this environment a positive, kind, and innovative space to send my son and granddaughter here each day. As an alumni of this school, I'm grateful that over 25 years later, my last son can attend my elementary school and receive an excellent public education as his mother did. I'm very excited that Mayor Adams and Chancellor Banks has prioritized investing in children with dyslexia in our school system. For years, parent leaders, community members, and I have advocated for programs to support dyslexia because we understand that reading is a human right that all people deserve to experience. For so long, many children like my son Dylan have not received the much needed support for their dyslexia in school. Not because schools do not want to provide it, but unfortunately, the resources, the lack of awareness, and the financial investment just was not there. I've been blessed with the honor of raising 3 of my 6 sons who are dyslexic. In my home, we have learned to view our learning differences as a gift and not a curse. I've taught my son that this is his superpower that he will use in the world to make a difference. I can tell you firsthand that getting the needed services to support my dyslexic sons have made a major difference in the trajectory of their lives. It has not always been easy, but it has been the best investment I have made. Having a program like this in our public schools will be a major game changer for many students who struggle with reading. I think intervention and services are crucial to helping children with dyslexia. The earlier we start providing services and raising awareness, the better it will be for our children. Like my son Dylan, dyslexia is the most common learning disability and impacts 1 in 5 students, or about 20% of the United States population. While I know this program will be geared to younger children in our school, the additional services for other children in the building will also be impactful. I know firsthand that no matter what age a child gets the service, it can make a difference. Unfortunately, my other 2 children did not get services early in their experience with dyslexia. My adopted son, Robert Thomas, learned to read at 17. He was a homeless youth living on the streets, but due to his gift in basketball, he was fortunate to go to a boarding school where he learned how to read. He attended a public school for most of his early education career, but it went undiagnosed. My son, Sean, who is 26, learned to read at 10. What I want to say to everyone is that dyslexia is not a parent's problem. It is a societal problem. Sean, my son Sean was blessed that once we did receive the services, which were very expensive, I worked 2 jobs just to provide it for him. He went on to be an honor roll student in middle school and high school. He graduated from Fordham University, and my dyslexic 17-year-old son is a graduate of St. John, and he today is a public servant. He works for New York City Department of Homeless, serving homeless families as a reminder of where he came from. I say to you, when you give a child the services they need, they can become anything. I think that this program is an excellent opportunity for District 5 families. It can become a beacon of hope for children like my son Dylan. And parents like myself who value public education. The fact that students can stay in their own community and get the services they much need is not only a success, it is a blessing for us.
Thank you so much, amazing parents and caregivers. And now I'm going to introduce State Senator Holloman. Nope. Sorry. Now I'm going to introduce Assembly Member Carroll.
Good morning. I'm Assemblymember Robert Carroll. What a difference a year makes. Thank you so much, Mayor Adams and Chancellor Banks. And I had some prepared remarks, but I want to talk to the parents first just for a second. Because this issue, so often, there was only one set of folks leading the charge, and that was mothers and fathers. And so thank you so much, because we would not be here if not for generations of mothers and fathers who stood up for their sons and daughters. And of course, I'm one of those sons. I was so lucky, so fortunate. At the end of first grade at PS 230 in Brooklyn, I had a teacher who plucked me out of a class and said to my mother, "I think your son's dyslexic." But that's unfortunately where my story diverged from so many others. My parents had means. They were able to get me tested. I was able to go to a school that had an evidence-based, structured reading curriculum, and it made all the difference. Because dyslexic students can be successful. But that was a long time ago, and there's no reason why any student should have to leave their local public school to be shipped off somewhere else, to feel alienated, to feel segregated, to learn how to read. It's a human right, it's a civil right, we know how to do it, and God damn it, this mayor and this chancellor I know are. I am so thankful to all the people's shoulders who we stand on today who made this possible, who makes it possible to make sure that we screen every child for dyslexia, who makes it possible that we provide them with an evidence-based structured literacy curriculum, because that's what students need. This will make a world of difference to so many children and give them agency so that they can go and live productive and happy lives. Because dyslexia is not a curse. It's only a curse if it's not remediated. And that's why I stand here, and I know the mayor would agree, that we are forged by dyslexia. And that forging makes us all the stronger. And today we're going to make sure so many other children are forged and strong to go out and lead our city. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much, Chancellor. Thank you to all the moms and dads.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Carroll. And now I'm going to introduce Assembly Member Simon.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Mayor Adams for the attention he has brought to this and to, along with Chancellor Banks, to this very, very critically needed comprehensive approach to identifying our students with dyslexia and then providing them with the right kind of support and empowering teachers with the tools they need to make that difference in their children, in the students' lives. The parents, thank you so very much. The pain that you heard in these mothers' voices, that is the pain that too many of our parents suffer and the pain that the children suffer by not getting the help they need to learn to read. Literacy is a social justice issue of our time. It is what keeps kids back. We know that between 15 and 20% of our population have dyslexia, but we know that nationally and even here in New York State, only 5% are identified. So that tells you we're missing 15% who aren't even getting identified, let alone the right services. So this is so important. And Mayor, what you are doing here today not only will change the lives of the children who will be the first in these new programs and getting this service, but it will change their lives going forward so that we will not have the problem of failing to educate and being answered by incarceration. This is critical. Thank you so much. You are making an enormous difference in so many lives, and I'm very, very proud to stand here with you in support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member Simon. And now I'm going to introduce Assembly Member Stevens. I am so sorry, Council Member Stevens. I got to get it right.
No worries. It's okay. Good morning. I'm Councilmember Stevens from District 16 in the Bronx, and I'm also the Youth Services Chair in Council. Today's a great day for so many young people across the city. I'm pleased to be standing here as we announce with the Mayor and the Chancellor to have a more comprehensive approach to support our young people with dyslexia. I was diagnosed with dyslexia in my freshman year in college, and I was told that it was probably missed because I spoke so well. Finding out that I had dyslexia made so much sense. For so many years, I felt like I was running a race blindfolded. So this investment today is so important for me. Investing in our young people is the most important thing that we can do to have an equitable city. And I will continue to fight and stand with our mayor and our chancellor as we do that for all our young people across the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Member Stevens. Now I'd like to introduce Council Member Abreu.
Well, welcome to District 7. I would like to really acknowledge here our amazing and hardworking parents, teachers, students, and of course to Principal Leopold, who is amazing, by the way. So today is a big day. Today is a huge day. I was held back in the 4th grade for failing my state reading exam. And so I had to repeat the grade. I have ADHD that was only diagnosed when I was in college. And a lot of reading comprehension issues are not detected very early on. And to have the level of investment for dyslexia screening and the resources is a big day for New York City. That's right. It is massive. And I know that in our Mayor Adams, he campaigned a lot on his story. And now he's making these policies a reality. And we have the best damn chancellor the city's ever had. He's a District 7 resident, by the way. Look, the truth is, investing in this means kids will learn more. They'll earn higher incomes. They'll be less likely to engage in crime. And they're more likely to achieve their goals. Today's a big day for New York City, and I'm just so damn excited. When I spoke to the chancellor a few months ago, I said, Mr. Chancellor, the biggest issue right now in our city when it comes to education is our lack of investment in returning to science-based reading, phonetic-based reading, And we are making that transformation today. Thank you so much.
Did we get everyone? Everyone? Well, listen, I know we were long, but, you know, we wanted all people who are involved in this to just have an opportunity to humanize this issue. Because you look at the council person, the assembly personnel, and you tend to believe that, you know, their story is just a storybook story, and not that they have gone through their same struggles as well. And we're learning from each other. But it would not be fitting to conclude this without bringing on Debbie. Debbie has been an educator for all of us in understanding this issue, and I cannot thank her enough. We've questioned her, we asked how, and she has just been a real champion for these families over and over again. She's educated all of us on this issue. And so, Debbie, please come up and say a few words.
Wow, I'm in tears. My son, like these mother's sons, didn't learn how to read at school, but he learned how to think in a public progressive school. He was a great thinker. He could not read. We switched him to the Windward School for kids with dyslexia. He learned how to read. Between the two, he got to Bard High School, early college. I want that opportunity. I want the opportunity for all our struggling readers to go to our great middle schools and our great high schools. They're segregated because we leave so many kids behind not learning how to read, and they can't get into them. Once these kids learn how to read, we're going to have to build more great middle schools and more great high schools. And I look forward to the day where every kid gets to go to a great middle school and great high school in New York City. Thank you all for coming, and I'm excited. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering, beyond the specialized programs that you and the Chancellor have mentioned today, are there any plans for school kids who might be diagnosed with dyslexia and then can't make it into one of those programs because they're filled up? Is there any plans for support for those students who will remain in other regular public schools, if you will?
Yeah, the programs that we're announcing today, the very specific places that we're going to have a full-on build-out are one thing, but there's going to be professional development across the board, across the city. And so, it's a huge effort. This is the largest school system in the world. We can't do it all overnight, but we have a full-on commitment, even beyond the students who are part of this particular programs, to ensure that the teachers get the training that they need as well. So everyone is going to be screened, but the interventions really have to come from the teachers, and that comes from the level of professional development and training that they get. And we have a commitment to ensure that all of the teachers, including the teachers who are not just teachers of reading, understand how to teach for students who have dyslexia.
In terms of high schools, is there a plan to screen in the high schools as well for older kids?
Yes. And it's so interesting, as you've even heard a number of the speakers today who said that they were diagnosed in high school and college and even being older. It's amazing. We think of this as an issue, for the little ones who were here, as an example, who I have to tell you, I was just beyond impressed that they were able to sit there that long. Right? They were just great kids. But yeah, so we're going to try to capture as many of our kids as we possibly can. We have a lot of work to do in this area, but we're committed to doing it.
And what we're doing also, I am speaking with Jamani Williams, the public advocate. We're looking to do screening in our jail system. We think the correctional facilities, we want to partner with some of our state reps here to look at our state facilities. Because if we don't start correcting the behavior that put people in jail, then they're going to come out and do the same things that go back to jail. So we want to see how we can expand this to Rikers, see how we can expand this in all of our state facilities, so that we can start giving people the support that they need. And that's the next step, that we want to partner with our city council members and our state lawmakers so that we can look at those two locations as well.
I actually have two questions. The first one is for Chancellor Banks. The second one is for the mayor. Chancellor, I know you and I have talked a lot about this, but we both know that there are more learning disabilities than just dyslexia.
That's right.
I wonder if you have any plans to deal with a vast array of other learning disabilities that people in New York City schools have.
Absolutely, and we will be. In fact, I wanted the Deputy Chancellor for Teaching and Learning, Carolyn Quintana, to come up, because she's really leading the effort for us at the Department of Education on this, and this is it's even greater than what we're doing on dyslexia. You want to speak to that?
Sure.
Ms. Quintana?
Thank you for the question. And I think we talked a little bit before the event. What's really important about all of this work is that we're addressing literacy as a whole. We want to begin, and we're identifying an issue that is very prevalent and that we know we need to tackle, but we're starting with an awareness campaign. We have partnered with Made by Dyslexia, who is offering free training for all teachers, which we will have in place before April of 2023 for all teachers. Then we're going to begin developing a team that will have intervention specialists as well as those literacy coaches and specialists for grades K through 12. So in the past, we've only had it in select grades. Now we will actually have literacy coaches in grades K through 12. That will help with all of those literacy issues that we have in our classrooms, whether you're in elementary school or in high school. Those intervention folks that will be trained, we're going to use a train-the-trainer model so that it is something that is also sustainable. We'll be able to support folks in the schools directly. So for those kids that you mentioned won't be part of those specialized programs, they'll have an opportunity to receive those kinds of supports through those intervention specialists. In addition to that, we're still working on building out some of those other programs that have demonstrated success that are those inclusive and integrated programs. So for our students who are on the autism spectrum disorder, on the spectrum rather, we'll have, we're going to continue to build out our programs that have been successful so far, so NEST and Horizon. Teachers will continue to receive training, not just for literacy purposes, but for other types of strategies that they can use to intervene, to support kids. And as was mentioned earlier, our kids have superpowers. We just have to unlock them. And so the more we can teach teachers how to do that, regardless of what class they're in, what program they're in, what grade they're in, we'll actually catch those issues earlier on and let them unleash those superpowers earlier on so that they don't have to wait until college or even afterwards to find success. And so we'll absolutely continue to do that work. And I think it's something that's really important. Regardless of what we put in place, it does not mean that we are not paying attention to the other areas. And that's really important to emphasize here. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I know that you have talked about the fact that you had frustrations dealing with dyslexia. I wonder if you've ever thought about the fact of how your life would have been different if you were able to access the programs that you are announcing today.
I think that if I would have had those support earlier, right now, we would be not saying just Mr. Mayor, you'd probably be saying Mr. President. But, seriously, sometimes the reason you heard the passion in these teachers and in these mothers, I don't know if people know the emotional trauma of a child and the mother's watching. My mother used to watch, my mother had a third grade education, and she didn't know what she was, when I couldn't, read, she didn't know what she was doing, staying up late at night with me, but having her by my side made me feel different. And, mommy would just sit there and, just go through the motion, and, it was just such a moment. So what you see with these mothers, nothing is more devastating than the mother feeling helpless. Now, these mothers had the fortitude to, push forward. But if you are a mother, where English is the second language, where you struggled in school, where you don't have the resources, where you're living in a domestic violence situation, where you're living in a homeless shelter, and you just watching your babies not being able to move forward, I'm telling you, it's just a traumatic experience. And so this is not just an academic achievement. This is an emotional, psychological achievement that we are accomplishing. And so if I didn't have to wait, as Councilwoman Stevens stated, if I didn't have to wait until I stumbled onto this in college, God only knows where I would have been. But I also think about those of my friends who were not diagnosed, and how many of them, every year that I moved up, I started to lose more and more of them to going down the wrong pathway. And so I don't think it's about, Eric, you were able to get where you are. I think it's more about those who were unable to get where they should have been.
Thank you. And I just want to make sure, I was in the corner, so I just want to make sure I heard it. Are you asking if there's a specific phonics-based curriculum that we'll be using? Yes. So, yes. Across grades K through 2, we're going to be offering a handful of options, many of which are already part of our core curriculum. And so we'll be asking principals to make selections, and we'll be reopening those selections if they haven't already made them, for phonics instruction. And so those include programs like PAF, they include Ready for Reading, they include Foundations. Now these are very explicit phonics programs, and so they do need to be coupled with a comprehensive literacy program as well, a comprehensive reading program. And we're addressing writing too, and so we want to make sure that's the base level, right? That's that tier 1 piece that everyone should begin with. And then as we need greater intervention, you'll find, particularly in the schools that are going to, like the LAC is opening up, you'll have more minutes, more often throughout the day, and much more comprehensive, for example, use of PAF that is grounded in Orton-Gillingham methodology. So yes, we will have selections for them, and it comes with training, and we will have a train-the-trainer model so that we always have support to provide both in school and then outside of school as well.
This is, I guess, a more broad question. Seeing the news, people are reacting almost in disbelief that this wasn't already in existence in the nation's largest public school system, having this universal screening. So do you want to speak as to why this hasn't existed before? What kind of
Let me tell you why. As I continue to say over and over again, when I use that analogy of we spend a lifetime pulling people out of the river instead of going upstream, preventing people from falling in. Look at who's falling in. The assemblyman said something that was pivotal, that was crucial. He said that was where the pathways divide. Families like Peter's and others, they can go and pay for these training. These mothers and fathers of means, you're able to pay for them. So their voices are not really heard. But when you look at the number of people, like I said, look at the prison population, overwhelmingly black and brown and poor. So these were the voiceless. There was not a sense of urgency, because when you looked at who was impacted and not receiving the support, they were black and brown. And so when you don't have that level of urgency and seeing the inequities that are happening to these groups that are basically, well, we write them off. That's why here you come along with a dyslexic mayor, a chancellor that grew up in a public school system, that lived among those who were the voiceless, and now are saying we're going to give voice to them. So this was ignored because the children that were impacted did not look like the people who were making these important decisions. And that's the reality. If people want to acknowledge it or not, we got to acknowledge it. And so if I'm allowed to do a commercial, that's why we need male accountability. You have a chancellor and a mayor that's focusing in on those students that historically have been denied for many reasons, and one of those reasons is because they were among the voiceless. Okay, we'll do some more topics. So we're going to spare y'all.
Great. Thank you, man.
All right,
Okay,
brother.
this
Good
is a great
stuff,
day.
man.
It's a great day. It's a great day.
Thank you, ladies, mothers.
Can we get a picture with you?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Can you take a picture? Yeah.
But they got a pool in the building?
I gotta get back to
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good, yes, yes. Good stuff, ladies. What's up, man? Just tell them, Rachel. Yes.
Safety zones where there's no guns, will there be specific neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's, and I'm amazed that other people are not focusing on this the way you just talked about it. This is a significant issue for our city. It is the right to carry. After what we saw the Supreme Court did on abortions, we should be very afraid. In a densely populated community like New York, this ruling could have a major impact on us. And so we are now looking with our legal experts to see what we can do. How we will curtail the behavior, our transit system, around our schools. And so we are really trying to figure out what powers we have based on the Supreme Court ruling. But we should all be concerned.
Could part of it be carving out parts of the city? I know that that is part of the ruling, to carve out an area where they're not allowed, and are you looking where it could be, or?
Well, it opens the door, even if you carve out an area, that there are those who are going to sue based on the areas you carved out. And so this is going to be a legal battle for some time, but the lawyers are looking at it. We're not sleeping on this ruling, on this decision that's coming down, but we are concerned. We're very concerned.
Mr. Mayor, on... So the CCRB came out with a report yesterday substantiating 27% of the complaints about cops coming out of the BLM protest 2 years ago. You've talked so much about holding bad cops accountable. You really want to do that. Do you think that the current system is working, or does it need to be revamped to hold cops accountable?
The current CCRB system?
CCRB, and whatever else.
Listen, I'm taking a deep dive into police discipline. And there's a couple of pieces that I'm looking at now. I'm spending a lot of time reading through it, seeing the process, mapping the process. And number one, it's taking too long. Number two, there needs to be a clear standard based on the cases. And the police commissioner and I are saying, how do we revamp so that we can ensure justice prevails? And I think the current system that's in place, there are many areas that we're going to have to revamp and reform. And we are still looking at exactly the exact timeline and how do we properly carry this out. Because we want justice, and we want it to be efficient, but it should not take as long as it's taking to get to a final result.
Mr. Mayor?
Let them get the last question. I'm sorry? Yes, Commissioner or the mayor. I think we're responsible for our department, and we should have final say-so on the department. Okay, let these last two questions.
You can start, Marsha. You start.
Mr. Mayor, I know that you spoke emotionally yesterday about the violence in the city, but there are also two more shootings. There was one at a school in Maspeth and one at a school in Brooklyn. I wonder how you feel about this constant drumbeat of guns and shooting that's been going on despite all your efforts.
We are undaunted about our fight. We know what we are up against. And I said yesterday that we thought by the end of January going into February that these shootings would be behind us, because the plan was get guns off the streets and get shooters off the streets, equals safety. The problem is we did our job of getting the guns off the street, keeping the shooters off the streets. It's still failing. And so unclog our courts, start to sentence these shooters, modify those parts of the laws that allow shooters to come back onto our streets. Those are the pieces that we need that are missing. So we're still going to do our part. As I said, we have a 28%, we have an increase in gun arrests in the last 28 years, the highest number of gun arrests. So we're doing our part. I said it over and over again, we need help. We're going to continue to do our part, but we do need help. We have to turn off the faucet.
Mr. Mayor, on home rule of the city's speed cameras, Senator Gurnardus said yesterday that that's not happening this year. The chair of the Assembly Transit Committee said that that was in part because of a lack of engagement from your administration. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say what happened here? Why didn't you engage more, and what's the plan now that that's not going to happen?
We will give you the breakdown on the engagement we did in the Assembly and in the Senate. And you had one of their own, Senator Giannatis, was up there advocating for this. And so we would give you a complete list, because we have to file lobbying reports. We would give you that list, and then you could do an assessment to see if it was a lack on our part. So this is not based on what I said. The records would show the engagement we had there. And I think that this is the right thing to do. So if we're saying that it's not done because we didn't see someone's telling us to do it, it's the right thing to do. The real question should be not that we're telling them they should do it or not. Do they feel this is the right thing to do? Do they feel it's right for us to use our speed cameras to stop the vehicle crashes and fatalities? So if they're saying, no, it's not right because we haven't heard from City Hall enough, something is wrong with that. Hearing for us enough, they should have heard from the parents, for the family members. That is the question. Is this a way of penalizing, or is this a way of making sure we get dangerous people off the road? That's the question that should be answered. Okay, thank you.